everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of Youth in the Loop, a talk show geared at youth and for the youth expressing themselves in controversial issues. We are your moderators, Philippa Dixon-Lamy and Norris Kimball. On our panel today, we have our newest member, Japheth Hamilton. We also have Gabby and Samantha. Today, we will be discussing yet another topical issue that young people are faced with in today's world. Our topic for discussion this evening will be love or infatuation. Our youth today are faced with many challenging issues, and finding true love is just one of them. Am I falling in love, or is it just infatuation? Love and infatuation are different in many ways, yet similar. Love can be confident, while infatuation may be insecure. Love encourages growth. Love goes beyond sex, while infatuation is oftentimes physical. Let's now listen to the views of our youth. Over to you, Norris.
I'm so happy. Today is an interesting topic. We get into the heads of the young people regarding love and infatuation. And my first question would go to Mr. Hamilton. Love or versus infatuation. So, Mr. Hamilton, how do you differentiate between love and infatuation?
Thank you so much for the question, Elva. And it's a pleasure to be here. So with me, I have a little chart that I would like to refer to when it comes to love and infatuation, or for me, I'd call it love versus lust. So firstly, when we talk about love, for me, it's an emotional connection that someone makes you feel either through conversation or support. While lust is more of a physical connection, how the person looks, how the person feels, how the person even smells. While love is long-term and enduring, it grows stronger over time. While if we like an infatuation, it's all about satisfying your desire. Looking back at love, it's all about putting the other person first, sacrifice. While infatuation is short-term and intense, and it quickly fades away. And finally, love is compassionate, comforting, like a warm hug, while infatuation or lust is passionate and exciting, kind of like a roller coaster ride. So in a nutshell, that's how I can differentiate between love and infatuation, or love and lust.
Well, you know what? Before I go to anyone else, I'm going to stick with you for a moment.
Sure.
Is it possible you can get love mixed up with infatuation? Do they overlap?
In this day and age, I think it's actually possible for it to overlap because of the influence of social media. Mm-hmm. Social media disguise infatuation or lust as quote unquote love. And because of that, it kind of distorts the mind on the real definition of the word love. So yes, it is possible to mix up the two based on the influence of social media.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Now I'm going to something else. Now I'm going to social media. And also I'm going to movies, the movies we watch. So you're saying that social media and the movies we watch may give us the wrong view of love.
That is correct. And because social media is so popular in our day and age, it's almost everywhere. And because we consume it so much on a day-to-day basis, that's why I said that it kind of warps our mentality of what love really is. Because whatever the content creators push out in social media, of course, we will absorb it. And sometimes it's not the truth. And sometimes the truth is that love is compassionate and long-suffering. But in social media's case, they say love is more of a feeling. But if I don't feel good on a certain day, then I'm falling out of love, which isn't really the reality. Love isn't a feeling. Love is a principle instead of a feeling. So yeah.
Okay, trust me, I will come back to you. I'm going to move forward with Gabby. Gabby, how do you tell the difference between love and infatuation?
Love for me, love is a verb. It's something that I choose to do every day. It's a commitment. So for me, it's like I see somebody and I know their strengths, their weaknesses, the good things about them and the bad things about them, and I still choose to love them every single day. Whereas with infatuation, it's kind of like a false reality. It's more of an idea of a person. I don't know the person, but because based on this superficial relationship I have about them, I'm infatuated with them. I get butterflies when I see them. I get excited, but I don't really know the person, so it doesn't last.
Mhm.
So, based on this idea, because a lot of us have these ideas in our head, we, especially women, you want the white picket fence, you want to be married at a certain age, you want to be, have that nice guy, white picket fence, a car, you want to be settled. So, is it possible for you now to have an idea and it can just be, in fact, not infatuation? Can you get an idea of love as well?
I think there's a line between like having expectations for yourself and wanting things
Mhm.
and then actually seeing the reality. Like you can want a man who, buys flowers for you every day or a man who is kind or compassionate. But the reality is if you don't know the person and you're saying, oh, he's all of these things, but has he shown you those things? Has he done those things for you? Then it's infatuation. So I think knowing who that person is and taking the time, because I think infatuation it's more quick. Taking the time to know that person is where love comes in, whereas infatuation is between a shorter period of time.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, how can you tell the difference between love and infatuation?
Well, according to Brother Hamilton and Sister Gabby's answers, they're both accurate. I think they took the words out of my mouth. I believe that when I think of the word infatuation, I think of, that whole Disney World, like princessy, you know, that like, oh my goodness, I love him so much. I just, the whole puppy, the little puppy eye, the little puppy love effect. That's what comes to my mind when I think of infatuation. It's not reality. I mean, it's basically you're feeding your own delusions. And I feel like a lot of time most time more women than men do infatuate because maybe they see a guy, they give them a little bit of an attention, and then they think that what that little that they're getting is what love is when it's really not. They're just infatuated with the person. But like what Gabby said, are they really devoted to you? Are they doing the things what a person who truly loved you or truly loves you will act? Versus love is, loving them through the good, the bad, they're showing in their actions, how devoted they are to you, and them actually knowing specific details about you versus just saying, oh, you're just I could just think about them like, oh, I could just have sex with him, or that's just really what it's just an infatuation, just a delusion. It's not real.
Well, let me ask you this question. Madam, give me a moment here. Is it possible that a relationship may start off with infatuation and then develop into love over time? Mr. Hamilton.
Well, thank you so much for that question. I oftentimes heard of scenarios where persons will say, man, it was just a quick hookup. It was like a quote unquote situationship.
Yeah.
But then it's like over time, and this is the beautiful thing about it, right? When persons get intimate with each other, there's a connection that form. Some people call it soul ties, which is a real thing.
Yeah.
So there are sometimes scenarios where these person get into a situationship, but because of that soul tie phenomenon, they end up being together. So sometimes it can be for the good or for the bad. Sometimes it can be abusive or not. But soul ties is a real thing. And I think in that case, it is possible.
Okay. Gabby, I saw a show one day and there was two doctors. And doctors, they spend a lot of time at the hospital and sometimes they don't go home to their families. So one doctor started daydreaming, I guess, about another doctor. And that daydream turned out to be a reality. but they had a contract. It was called Friends with Benefits. Now, friend with benefits, we all know is a sexual thing. But what happened? One of the doctors violated the contract. They fell in love. So, Gabby, the same question, and based on what I said, is it possible for that infatuation to turn into love?
I think it's very possible. I think it happens every single day with different people. I think that, you say, okay, it's going to be a casual thing, nothing, no strings attached, no links
Mhm.
attached, just to do what I need to do. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm getting excited to see him every day. Oh, has he texted me yet? Stuff like that. So I think it definitely does lead to that, depending on who the person is and who you're with.
I got you. I gave you that example in which I will do a follow-up on it. I'm going to turn it over to you, madam.
Very interesting responses. So overall, is it wrong to have an infatuation? Is it wrong to have an infatuation?
Mm.
Hmm.
Samantha.
Um, no, there's nothing wrong with having an infatuation. I know you're gonna pick me first. No, there's nothing wrong with having an infatuation because I'm not gonna lie. You and we all have eyes. I mean, you see an attractive guy, and you're just like, sometimes you just like, oh my goodness, like God took his time. Like, I mean, I don't know, everybody has that experience, like, a man could see a really beautiful woman and they could just be infatuated with her beauty, and then he comes into contact with her, and a lot of things can occur in that little moment when they actually meet each other. So I believe you can. There's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with it. It just depends on how you use that moment. If you're using it for good or for bad.
Hmm.
But there's nothing wrong because I mean there's so many people in the world. Everybody is attractive in their own way. And I don't expect anybody to just say, oh no, or I can't look at her. But I mean, no, it's okay to appreciate beauty, but do not take it to a level where you're harming the person.
Okay.
Basically appreciate the art.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Very interesting. So, how do you know someone is infatuated with you?
Um, I'm answering
Hmm.
this one. Okay.
Yes.
Body
Samantha.
language. Okay. Okay. Well, I know
Mhm.
based on body language, nonverbal cues. Like I'll paint the scene, right? Let's say you're going to
Mhm.
church and then like you meet eyes with this guy, and then throughout service you guys make eye contact. He goes outside, he comes back in, you go outside, you come back in, you guys are walking in different parts of the room, but you guys are still looking at each other. That tension that you guys are infatuated with each other. You guys are looking at each other, but it's at a distance. So I feel like, or, he assists you with, helping your chair. He wants to buy you lunch. It's just little acts of service that puts the woman or the man in the perspective or in that idea of that, okay, she's interested or she's infatuated with me because she's giving me a specific type of attention from everybody else.
Okay. I hear you, Samantha. Okay, Gabby, is it wrong to have an infatuation?
I don't think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to act on the infatuation's desires and not according to your fate. But I don't think it's wrong to have. I
Mhm.
think as a person, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. So you have
Mhm.
to be able to manage yourself. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little crush. Just
Okay.
don't let it take it too far.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So how do you know that someone is infatuated with you?
Personally, I know when someone's infatuated with me when they're always texting me. I think that's a big thing. They're always texting me or calling me, oh, or telling me, what are you doing this week? Like always checking up on me. I think always making sure, wanting to be in the know what I'm doing with my plans. I think that's how I know someone is infatuated with me. They always want to be around me.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, let me hear from the gentleman. Is it wrong to have an infatuation?
Okay, and thank you for the question. From my perspective, I think it's absolutely nothing wrong with having as it was quoted, a little crush. Um, if it develops into something more than that, of course, you need to be attracted to the person physically.
Mhm.
Because if it, leads to marriage, you're going to wake up one day seeing this person. And you don't want to wake up one day and be frightened, right? So, with that being said, of course, infatuation from a guy's perspective is definitely a factor when it comes to a relationship.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how can you tell that someone is infatuated with you?
Okay, well, the other young ladies spoke on if a guy is infatuated with them. I will
Mhm.
speak on the part where a girl is infatuated with a guy.
Mhm.
Now, based on what I experienced so far, in the dating pool, if a young lady is very attentive, that's one way you would know. If she bites her lips while looking at you, that's another indication. There's
Interesting.
oftentimes this other thing that they do where if they have long hair, they
Mhm.
would put the long hair to the side of their ears to make themselves seem more attractive to you. So those are the little hints that can tell a young man that she is infatuated with you. And
Mhm.
as was stated before, it's left up to the guy to either use it as an opportunity for right or for wrong. The ball is in his court, and whatever he do after that is left up to him. So, yeah.
Okay, so final question. Have you ever confused infatuation for love?
Ever confuse infatuation for love? That's an excellent question. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I did because from a guy perspective, again,
Mhm.
guys are oftentimes visual. So the first thing they see is visual. So if by chance I see a young woman, she's very shapely, beautiful hair, beautiful skin,
Mhm.
of course, infatuation will be there, but it's like an admiration type of infatuation. In terms of me confusing it, oftentimes I would just give like a compliment and stuff. I know how to control myself in terms of moving forward,
Mhm.
but that's just from me. So to answer your question, yes, I have confused it before because guys are quote unquote visual. The first thing we see is, right before us. So yes, I have confused it one time before or another.
Okay, I love your honesty, Japet. I love your honesty. Gabby, have you ever confused infatuation for love?
Believe so. I'm very picky when it comes to seeing guys. So
Mhm.
for me, if I love somebody, then I know I love them because I'm accepting all of your flaws, all of your weaknesses. And if I'm infatuated with you, I know I'm infatuated with you because I get like butterflies, I get excited, but in reality, I really don't know anything about you. It's just like a fantasy type of feeling. So I think I know where to draw the line between infatuation and love.
Mhm. Okay. Samantha,
Can you read the question?
have you ever confused infatuation for love?
Okay. Okay, listen carefully how I answer this question. Um, I would say not as much as men have confused it with me, because I feel like as the type of person I am, I like to create a safe space for all of like anybody who I am like who's in my circle. They can always talk to me. So I feel like when you have a certain aura or that vibe that you have, sometimes guys could mistake that, or even if you already established that she's a friend, it's like, man, I'm giving you something, and maybe it's just the way that I am. Now you're attracted to it, and you thought I was in love with you, but really I was just being a good person. So I feel like most of
Mhm.
the times they don't know to differentiate a nurturing female friend versus somebody who actually is in love with you. And sometimes those female friends can give you something or show you how a woman is supposed to treat you, and they end up dating the friend, and but that's another conversation for another day. But I would say that I had one time when I'm still friends with him, and I did because he treated me so well. And the moment it was like, because we're still compatible, because we're like really good friends. And I was like, wait a minute, No, 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 it's not. Where's the reality? Back to reality, back to reality. So I did confuse it for a moment because we were so close, and I realized we are just really good people towards one another. So I feel like you have to have the reality check, and you have to, like, check the boxes, make sure that, hey, he's just a really good friend, nothing more and nothing less. And if you do get confused, you should have that conversation.
Okay. Lovely responses. And I love transparency and honesty. Over
Yeah.
to you, Norris.
Man, go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
There was a point that Miss Wilson said just now, in regards to her male friend. Sometimes I think it's very hard, especially for guys, to just see a young woman as just a friend. I don't know, for some reason, it's like there's oftentimes this little extra feeling that comes along with just being friends. So I know that's not the topic of discussion, but I think it's just interesting to know that, sometimes we, at least as guys, it's kind of like hard to just be just friends without, having a little extra feeling for the individual. But yeah, that's just my take on it.
Can I add to
Hmm.
that? But also,
Interesting.
I feel like for you to have a good friend, you should have some type of feeling because, like you said, men are visual creatures. So at some point, for you to even, be your true self, there has to be some type of infatuation to you to be to that person. Not saying all the time, but if you're having a certain bond, I know that for me, I'm not boasting, but I'm just gonna say I have a lot of good-looking guy friends, and there's guy friends who have a lot of good looking female friends. And I mean, you can't really blame them that, at some point in their mind, they're like, man, she just looks good and she's this good person. So everybody has that little thought in the back of their mind at some point. Not saying that you will fall into it, but I mean, like I said, with the transparency, like Sister Lainey said, it's good to know that, you can say, all right, we're just friends. But at the same time, I would really like to be more than with her because we know each other for so long. And now I'm getting confused, but it's all about communication to save the friendship.
Okay, good. Mr. Hamilton, and when I was in school, there was a song, "We Can't Just Be Friends," and I love that song. So I do agree with you on that. But now I'm going to get into the young people love life. You know,
Mm-mm.
yes. So I would like to know, and I'm going to start with Gabby on this question. How do you envision your love life in 5 years or 10 years from now?
See, in 10 years from now, I seem to be done with school,
Mhm.
settled down, financially stable, and I hope that I would be pursuing a romantic relationship with somebody that could lead to marriage at that time of my life.
Okay.
That's
All
where I see
right.
myself in 10 years from now.
Okay. Yeah, I may put a pin for you, so I may come back to you. So just hold that thought, what you just said. Right now, I'm going to go to Mr. Hamilton. How do you envision your love life 5 to 10 years from now?
And thank you so much for the question. From 5 to 10 years from now, I see myself as married, um, also as a homeowner, and also as the owner of a vehicle with a stable job as well. So between 5 to 10 years from now, I can see myself realistically being the father of my household and just running a very stable, calm environment for my family. So yes.
Amen.
Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Samantha, yes,
Amen.
go ahead, Samantha. So I'm going to open
Hallelujah. We
Samantha.
need
Oh,
more Hamiltons.
oh man,
We need more
Samantha.
Hamiltons.
Yeah, so Samantha, go ahead on. You go ahead and take that. Take that. How do you
Blessings,
envision
love.
your love
I
life?
think you took the
Because
cake.
we're already here now. We need more Hamiltons, right?
We
Okay,
need more
so
Hamiltons.
Mr. Hamilton for president. So
Yeah.
now, Samantha, how do you envision your love life 5 to 10 years from now? Take into consideration what Mr. Hamilton has said.
Well, hold on. There's not a lot of Hamiltons in this world. There's not a lot of Hamiltons. So we have to hold them dearly and take care of them. But I would say for me, I look at stability first. I do not know what my love life will look like in the future, but I feel like priorities should always be a priority first. You know what I mean? You should always have that, you know, in the beginning. Like I need to make sure I have my household. I see myself having a big house with my doggies and, having a stable job, having a stable career and my own business. But I feel like men will always be there. Men will always come and go and come around, but I feel like you need to know what you're bringing to the table. I can't just say I want to be married and not have any stability in my life. Because if I'm unstable, I cannot bring that into his life and disrupt whatever peace he had because I was selfish and I didn't want to put my best foot forward. So I feel like I want stability. And if God provides a man and then I end up having children, I'm married, then that's God's will. But I don't know what my love life looks like. But I'm just looking at business and stability and money.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. You say you're looking at, repeat that, business,
Stability,
stability,
business, and money.
and money.
That's what's really on my mind right now. But if God drops a man in front of me, I don't know. I wouldn't know what to tell you.
Well, you know what?
Hamilton, you're gonna do good, man. Back to that answer.
But now, before I would turn the microphone back over to Madam, I want to ask this question. I'm now getting into your life again. So I got into your love life. I hear what you expect 5 and 10 years from now, how your love life, how you envision it. So now I want you, have you ever experienced a heartbreak? And how did you cope with that? Samantha.
Why'd you go to me first?
You know, sometimes I can be a little messy, can I? Have you ever
Okay.
experienced a heartbreak and how did you cope with it?
Can I exercise my Fifth Amendment right? I plead the fifth.
Well, you know what what I will do is move on to someone else. You don't have to call no one's
I'm
name.
joking.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was honestly, it was a wake-up call. It was just a wake-up call. I mean, you're young, you're dumb, you do things without really that much knowledge of the world and life and what life is really like. And I mean, you're just rolling through the punches and things just didn't go the way that you wanted to. And you learn from it. But I mean, it could be worse for others. I would say, some people taking it worse than others. But I mean, it's a lesson. It
So
was a
let me
wake-up
ask you this
call.
question. Was it love or infatuation then?
Oh. Hold on. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me think about it.
Were you in
No,
love?
it was love. It was love. It was love.
It was love. Okay.
It was love.
But it just
I
didn't
think
work out.
about it because it's been how many years? It's been 3 years.
Okay. But it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to move to Mr. Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton, have you ever experienced a heartbreak and how did you cope with it?
And thank you once again for the question. Yes, I have experienced a heartbreak before. Actually, it was last year that I had one of the
Oh,
worst
that's
heartbreaks.
fresh.
Yeah, very fresh. How I dealt with it, to be honest with you, it took me leaving the country where I was residing to go to a different country to do meditation in
Wow.
order to get over that heartbreak. Um, I mentioned before that love is sacrificing, putting others before yourself. And in that relationship, I was really sacrificing my time, energy, money, and it's like it just didn't work out and it was very, very depressing. So how I dealt with it, I flew out of the country to a different country, did a lot of meditation and also self-reflection to see where I went wrong. And to God be the glory, I was healed, totally healed, and I am really happy for that. So yes, I was heartbroken before.
For you, was that love or infatuation?
That was definitely love. I was sacrificed, brother. I was sacrificing so
All right, let's
much.
not go back. It's okay. We heal. We heal.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not go back. It's okay. We heal.
So all right, so we have Samantha said that it was love. We have Mr. Hamilton said it was love. Now, Gabby, we're going to you about, have you experienced a heartbreak and how did you cope with it? And was that love or infatuation?
I think for me, the worst heartbreak I ever experienced, it was like in those almost relationships. Like you're not technically classified as a relationship yet, but you're basically doing everything that's in a relationship. So, and then just breaking that off. was hard. And I think to cope with it, for me, it's keeping my mind busy so it doesn't linger too much
Mhm.
on that whole situationship that's going on. So, I put it in academics, I've been studying, I went and got my associates, just putting in that extra time and effort to the point where after I'm like have free time, it's like, who? Who was that again? You don't even remember what happened. I don't think it was love. I don't think it was infatuation. Well, on my side, I don't know for him, but for
Okay.
me, it was just
So
like
Gabby's a
it is
G.
what it is.
Gabby's a G. We're
Oh.
lover. We're lovers. We're R&B lovers. She's definitely something else. Okay, Gabby.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Miss Lamy.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
oh.
infatuation focuses on the here and now. Love, you want to take some, you want to take care of the person basically, and you want to plan a future with them. How can you tell that you have fallen in love?
Oh, you getting our business. What you getting into the tea?
Japhet, I'll start with you.
Okay, so just can you just say the question one more time? It was a deep question. I want to make sure I have the answer,
All right. For
articulated.
You just want to
infatuation,
volunteer.
it focuses on the here and now.
Mhm.
For love, you want to take care of that person and you want to plan your future with them. How can you tell that you have fallen in love?
Okay, how can you tell that you have fallen in love with this individual?
Mhm.
Let me see. For guys, it's different than young women. Based on what I've experienced in my life, I
Mhm.
can tell based on my personality, her personality, if it can mesh together, if we are compatible.
Mhm.
I actually had this experience very recently of a young lady who I was speaking to, and it only took me like a month to realize that, yes, this isn't going anywhere. So with that being said, as a guy, you know when you're in love. So with that being said, um, yeah, as a guy, you that's all I can really say. As a guy, like you just know, you have that instinct in your mind that hey,
Mhm.
it's nothing more than just friendship or it's
Mhm.
nothing more than just a situationship. Like you just have that intuition in your mind that hey, it's so far and no more. So
Okay.
as a guy, you just know.
So right there and then you ended the relationship.
We're still friends to this day, but in my mind, I purpose in my mind that I wasn't going to escalate it any further
Okay.
because it didn't make any sense to escalate it any further. So as a guy,
You're a good one. You're a good guy.
know.
Gabby, let me hear from you. How can you tell that you have fallen in love?
For me, it's like I start praying about the person more than I start praying for myself. Everything that I'm doing is like I'm thinking of them. Like I go to the supermarket and like, oh, I should get this bag of chips, they'll like it. I start incorporating them in my future
Ooh.
plans and everything. I think that's when I could tell that I'm starting to fall in love.
Okay. Nice. And those butterfly feelings.
Maximized, increased,
Okay.
over the top.
Okay. Samantha.
Hmm. Yes. Ooh, y'all wait. Y'all bringing back. You bring stuff back. Okay. Okay. Um, personally, right? Personally,
Mhm.
I would say by my mannerisms. I feel I've come from a very strong household and a strong, family. Hard workers, businesswomen, businessmen. So we're all very dominant. We're not masculine, but we just have very strong personalities. So I feel like in that point where I'm a lot softer, I'm more like calm. I wouldn't say I would like allow him to play his position. So I feel like me, I could be very dominant at times. So the fact that I'm in like basically I'm in my feminine era and I'm allowing him to do his job. I'm gonna pay attention to detail because I also my like acts of service. I'm more affectionate. Like if he told me he wanted, he wanted a boat or just anything that he would look at in the store. He says, "Oh, I want to buy this new video game." I'll probably buy it for him, not knowing, just the acts of service, words of affirmation, catering to him, listening to him, just devoting and my loyalty towards him. That's why I know I'm falling in love when I'm making him one of my priorities.
Okay. Okay, so overall, final question. Do you think infatuation is unhealthy?
Hmm.
No, I don't think it's unhealthy. All depends on how you, it depends on your mental state. I don't think it's unhealthy. It just wants to know how, how do I say this? I want to know how strong are you mentally? Because you can use your infatuation to get through day by day, and that's all it is just a crush. Like I say, I have a work crush, and I'm watching him lift boxes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like he's just so cute. And I go home and I go to sleep. Like it's just a crush, just to get through the day. It's just eye candy. Like it's just fun. It's really nothing harmless. It's just an infatuation, but it could be harmful to someone when they are now applying it to their life and to their mental, and now they're separating the two, and now they're feeding to their delusions, and now they're hurting themselves because now they're realizing that they're not realizing they don't love that person, but they're
Mhm.
just crushing on them so hard that they're losing grip of reality. So it could be harmful depending on how stable your mentality is.
Okay. Japhet, do you think it is unhealthy, infatuation?
And thank you for the question.
Mhm.
As was stated previously, it's not really unhealthy because, as I mentioned before, from a man's perspective, guys are visual. So, in a sense, that's what drives us to approach a young woman. Um, it becomes unhealthy for an individual if they make it purely just, physical or sexual in nature.
Mm,
That's where the problem comes. So now, if you are infatuated with a young woman and it's only just visual and sexual, you're going to overlook all the other red flags that she has and just go based on how you feel, go based on how, she looks. And that can be very problematic. It could lead to, abuse. It could lead to many different challenges in the future. So once again, as I say, it depends on the individual how they handle it, but I honestly don't feel like it's a problem. It's just what you do after you have that feeling in your heart. So
Okay. Gabby.
I mean, I agree with both points that are made. I think infatuation can be unhealthy when you let it consume like your thoughts, your actions, like everything you do is towards that person. And as Samantha said, you're feeding into your delusions. I think that's when infatuation becomes like your idol, and then it becomes unhealthy.
Can I say something real quick? Also, I would say back to what the Hamilton was saying, we ignore as women, we do ignore the boundaries that we set when we are also infatuated with each other. So let's say we're having these little this freelance sex with this guy, and we meet up, we're having sex, we're just doing all things of like a relation, like a person, like we're doing all the things relationship people do, but we're not in a relationship. And then we're literally putting aside all these boundaries because we like them so much, we're letting them slide. And like I feel like women, we have categories of men. Like, we have the guy friend who's not gonna get any. We have that one guy friend that he can get whatever he wants. So I feel like I'm not listen, ladies, I'm apologize. I'm putting them on free game. I'm sorry if I'm putting them out there. I'm sorry. But there's categories. And I feel like men too, like there's like, guys have like the girls like, we're not really attracted to her, but she's cool company. So I feel like guys have their collection of categories that they have for women, just like women have their collection of men as well. So I feel like for that one guy, like, man, he's just a red flag, but he's so fine. I'm just gonna go on this ride because you're infatuated with him. But
Mhm.
the guy who's decent, not so good looking, but he's, he's an eligible bachelor, but he's not your type. So when your eye too long and your heart broken, it's kind of like you reap what you sow. So I feel like as women, that's another thing that we should also be held accountable, that we do need to work on keeping our boundaries. Doesn't matter what how good looking the guy, especially if he is a red flag, he's disrespecting women. He just looks like somebody who will not cater to your needs or respect you. And the fact that a man is comfortable with this type of relationship without furthering it is something that you should look at a deeper level, because you're giving him something that is precious to you. You're giving him your body, and you're trusting him with it to do whatever it is you guys are doing in that moment of pleasure. So that's not always looked into consideration, because you want to please him so bad because you're infatuated. And then that can lead to a deep, dark spiral, and then it's just, you also get tired. Like, I'm gonna tell you something right now, when women, I'm not saying for me, but I'm saying that there is this part where it was a sermon, and then they were saying that women, when they run to have sex with this guy, they'll have that moment of pleasure for that 30, 45 minutes of pleasure. And then afterwards, you feel bad because that high is gone. Yes, in that moment of pleasure, it felt good. Yes, you got what you needed. But how do you feel afterwards? You feel disgusted. You want to cry. You feel bad. But I promise you, tomorrow at 12 midnight, he's gonna call you. He's like, yo, what's up? You're gonna go outside, you're gonna do it again, you're gonna do it again. It's just like drug is gonna do it again, you're gonna do it again. Because you're not setting that boundary because you want to please him, even though he told you he doesn't want a relationship, but he knows you feel good at night. So I feel like that's also something that we have to put into consideration.
Very interesting. So our youth have spoken. Love is based on reality, while infatuation is fantasy-based. Love involves true intimacy, both persons working together as a team, while infatuation is considered to be unhealthy for some persons. 1 Peter 4 verse 8 says that love covers a multitude of sins. Infatuation, on the other hand, can lead to other sins, such as lust, discontent, and covetousness. Love never fails, whereas infatuation can end rather abruptly. Remember to search the scripture, and you will definitely find answers to all your burning issues. Special thanks to my co-host Norris and my panel of young Christians for making episode 8 a reality. Thank you all for joining. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Join us next time as we explore more controversial issues viewed by youth. Bye, everyone.